Interesting. So this is kind of like the Zen ending we got, but it said this was a new story path. So obviously something is different.
As the Farfarer landed at the foot of the mountains, Reynardo was surprised to find Lapino there. What are you doing here? Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I was stowed away on an Imperial courier ship, dressed up as a combat nurse carrying a general's beak transplant. This is not a great time, said Reynardo, who was pretty sure he did not.
I love how far-fetched all of
believe
Lapino's
Lapino's
lies
story.
are.
That's when you need your friends, said Lapino. I just need some peace and quiet, said Reynardo, and grimly set out on the path.
Reach the mountaintop. I mean, surely we don't shake the Iblis stone and wind up killing someone here, right? That seems to me like it would be the correct way for this to go down. I never dodge in time. I always think it's going to give me like 2 more heartbeats than it does. Oh yeah, swimming in ore, baby.
This chest was really awesome. See what I did there?
I'm so mad at the narrator. There's some like pro style dad jokes in the narrator's repertoire. Oh wait, I'm in combat, so it won't let me do it. I'm always so confused when combat starts and I can't slash a crate. Oh, I did it again. That was weird. I comboed that guy who's like off to the right side of the screen that just exploded.
This
But he didn't
the new
move.
aerobics craze. Am I right?
Oh yeah, give me that energy. Remember my throws? Yeah. But like, also magical swords though. If they gave me magical throws, then we'd be talking. If one of the plot lines had made me like a Judica, that would have been fun. If one of the storylines was like, oh wait, there was Lapino and Ronda Rousey. I don't see anything down there that I particularly want to interact with. I think we've done this
that way, he thought.
several times and had there been treasure chests down on that plateau. Maybe I'm remembering incorrectly. I'd like a combat with which to heal and perhaps exercise some frustrations on ravens. Oh man, the long walk for some ore.
He was practically sure he'd find something useful in one of these things.
I did indeed. I found ore, so take that, narrator. In games like this one, right, especially when it's just like 2 warring groups or whatever, they have got to talk about Reynardo in the like Raven military camps like he is a fucking natural disaster. Just like they have entire battalions of Raven patrols that have just been decimated by one angry fox boy. And like he doesn't even have both eyes.
Reynardo told his friend how he had slaughtered the toads and how he had nearly slain Zenobia. A terrible burden, this Iblis stone.
Ooh,
Sympathized
does he
the
want
rabbit.
it?
Yeah, but I need it for the rebellion. Do you now? You know, you were a pretty fine fighter before you were wielding a demonic decoration. Oddly, the sword wasn't whispering at him to kill Lapino. Up ahead in the mountains, there was a peaceful spot. If he could rid himself of his burden anywhere, it was there.
Can we just kill Lupino? Boo. I'd rather have Lupino survive.
A very clever
And, like,
engineer named Elon Muskrat had got his start making floating
Elon
platforms.
Muskrat.
Not many people knew that.
I want Lupino to like properly pay for his crimes. I want him to do like serious time in a rabbit-based like re-education. Not re-education. That's got some pretty negative connotations that are tied to it. Just a rehabilitation center, right? And not necessarily with the thought of him being free to run amok and continue to spread his lies, but like just to really make sure he knows that he done fucked up. Oh, you're the last one. Yeet. I think that's the most appropriate time for a kick. I know there's strategic ways for me to use them when I'm fighting crowds of enemies, but man, just heaving the last guy into oblivion is pretty hilarious. Ooh, get last second comboed, kid. I mean, technically, you guys got to hear me out on this. Technically, Reynardo is a murderer. Or I guess just a murderer is probably more appropriate.
Stealing crafting materials from chests. He preferred to rob them from people at sword point.
Ha! Like any self-respecting robber baron. I wish there was a spin attack. I think that is something missing from the repertoire. Can I get over there or did I screw it up? I think I screwed it up. Always drawn to an ice-based level. I agree, there's just something really peaceful about them. A lot of times I think that the ambient noise in a snow level is kind of tampered down.
And all the levers will drop rocks at your head.
So you get a lot less of just like random sound effects bombarding you. There's normally a very kind of peaceful, chill soundtrack on a nice level.
Snatching the Iblis stone before the Emperor could get it. And it would destroy him. Zenobia and Lupino, they were both trying to save him. Peace. That was what he needed.
Thank you for the hydrate, Schneider. I was captivated by Reynardo's plight. I was looking at the channel points on my channel and kind of thinking if there was something else I could add, because we've kind of got this weird situation right now where everyone just waits to cash in hydrate because you guys have the emotes, so there's not a whole ton of reason for you to spend it on emotes, and my emotes don't really work well with modifying an emote, so I don't think I have that even turned on right now. So I might add some more high-end stuff. What are your thoughts on Valheim? I think Valheim looks cool. Those survivals type games aren't normally super up my wheelhouse, or in my wheelhouse rather, but Valheim's looks neat. Make a hydrate emote? I might.
So much for peace and quiet. There was Lupino. Again. You're stronger than some dumb rock, Lupino said. Let's just bury it, and no one will ever find it again.
Yeah, he's just gonna bury it in his own pocket and take it for himself.
All those dead ravens inside him, pecking away. The rabbit was right. Even if the rabbit was a traitor, he was still right. He tore the Iblis stone from his gauntlet and threw it into the hole Lupino had dug. The stone was silent. Probably sulking. Now whoop those Imperials, said Lupino. Are you coming? Ah, no, I can't come with you. It's my old injury, you know. Recently, it's been acting up terrible. I'd be no use to you at all. So Reynardo boarded the Farfarer alone.
For
Reynardo
sure,
felt
Lapino's showing up
lonely
with the
on board the
Stone.
Farfarer. How could his old friend Lapino, miraculously escaped from the Empire, leave him to face the final battle alone? Well, he'd abandoned Lapino before, hadn't he? It was only fair. And of course he felt lonely. He'd given up the Iblis Stone and all the souls he fed it. Of course he felt alone. But he had done the right thing. It had been hard to do, but
They're really trying to make me feel terrible for
that.
not being an
Zenobia
asshole on
would
this
be so
run.
proud of him.
A hydrate emote, Schneider, I actually thought about doing, and I may revisit at some point.
Alas, was not going well.
But
he no longer had the stone, and he'd never gotten the core. Lapino wasn't with him, and he was up against Zenobia, out there somewhere, maneuvering the Emperor's forces. The rebels had been outnumbered from the start, and he still had that aching longing for the stone. But that is what it means to be a hero. He would fight his way to Zenobia. He would show her what he was capable of. Just him, with no diabolic accoutrements. He would win, no matter the odds.
I don't mean to doubt you, narrator. I don't think that's how it's gonna go down. I'm actually not eligible for any more emotes unless
There's a pleasant breeze coming
for
through
whatever
that
reason,
door.
if the channel took off and I became a
Had it been
Twitch
closed
partner.
before?
But we've actually already filled out all of the slots for a Twitch affiliate. Which, first of all, thank you guys, because that's absurd that I have got all of the affiliate emote slots. But it does leave us in a position where the likelihood that I become a Twitch partner is pretty far-fetched. So we would likely not get another emote. Gotta look at better Twitch TV to add even emote. I saw your cat jam. I do still have to add it to the channel, but I can see cat jam in my heart. I meant to go look at that the other day and I totally spaced on it. There are emote slots that I'm eligible for, but they wind up getting locked behind people donating bits to the channel. They're the ones that unlock for people who have bit rolls. And I'm less inclined to load those up because I don't want people to feel obligated to spend a bunch of bits.
Yes,
But we might, just so that I have an excuse to
Pirouette,
design more
slash, parry,
stuff.
Dodge. Reynardo had never done such good work in a fight. He wished the poets were along to sing of his exploits for his old age. Maybe he wouldn't have to kill Zenobia. Maybe he could defeat her and take her prisoner. Then he could turn the tide against the Emperor. If she wasn't
Work
crowned
in progress,
princess,
you just here
once
chilling?
this was
I love
all
it.
over, she'd have more time for him, right?
Man, he's still treating this like some kind of weird dating game. Like, come on, Reynardo. You're better than that, dude. Zenobia is a whole ass person with her own outlook. You don't get to play many games, and a lot of what I have on the list is stuff you're interested in. Dude, that's really good to hear, because that's, you know, kind of one of the indirect reasons for me doing this, right? Is not only does it give me a great excuse to play these games, but there's stuff that I've had an interest in that I knew I wasn't going to get around to, and I scratched the itch by watching a playthrough of it. And if I am providing that for someone else, that is awesome. So I am more than happy to get to some of these. That's why I'm always saying, like, hit me up on Twitter and let me know if there's something you want to see. Because it helps me to not have to pick something, for one. But it also means that I'm kind of giving you what you guys want, as it were. That was kind of a sticky combat. I don't know what I did to goof that up so much.
Much easier than free climbing.
LOL. I don't even stop on that segment anymore. I think this level would be really cool if I was doing more like ship to ship traversal, like more of it more frequently, or like battles. That's something that the game doesn't take advantage of, is like ranged enemies maybe on a different boat. So I'm like jumping back and forth between boat platforms in the middle of combat. I think that would have been cool. There's another game in this franchise, not directly in the franchise, but at least set in like the same universe, but it plays much differently. I don't know if it's even an action combat game, but I'm wondering if it maybe takes some of the stuff I'm talking about and adds to it. Yeah, surprised there weren't archers. Yeah, like, or even just like the elemental kind of like mage dudes, right? Like those fire guys that can shell you with that mortar. Have them attack from further out. Give me a longer indicator so I have more time to react even if they're off screen, and then like let me chase them down. All right, let's see what terrible ending I got here from going. We managed to not get the Iblis Stone, not get Zenobia, not get Lapino, and not get the Sky Ripper. So this was like literally as much work as I could possibly do and have nothing to show for it.
By some miracle, Reynardo fought his way to the Emperor's ship. He was exhausted, bleeding, but he'd found the strength to reject the stone. Zenobia came out of the ship. "Reynardo!" she shouted, and then she fell down and died. Lapino was behind her, wielding a sword that seemed to suck all the light out of the sun.
Of course.
"You idiot!
Of
You
course.
threw the stone away!" cried Lapino. "You said it was evil." "It hates sanctimonious prigs like you," laughed Lapino. "And we're having a grand old time." Reynardo turned and ran. But no matter where he ran, Lapino jumped in front of him until Reynardo was cornered. "That boy could hop. You wouldn't do this to an old friend, would you?" cried Reynardo. "You mean this?" said Lapino, as he slid the sword into Reynardo's guts. "Damn it. Again." He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up, like those doors he was opening up all over the map that took him to new treasures and around his enemies. And he hadn't learned anything new this time. He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome.
I mean, I don't know that I did the same thing twice. That's maybe not fair. Story number 2, what are friends for? What kind of hero are you? A hero who doesn't need diabolic accoutrement to beat unsurmountable odds. So they're still giving me wind essence that I don't think I actually have a need for. That's kind of weird.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before? And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas.
That's what it is.
It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced.
All right, so I'm going to stick to my guns on this one. Let's get the Iblis Stone,
but he was sure
get the Sky Ripper core to cleanse it, and then change what we're doing from there.
A temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster.
But I don't know that we would learn
maybe he could find
for sure about Lapino being a traitor if we took that route.
Wickedness. And also,
maybe it's supposed to be
his old friend
Lapino, Sky Ripper core, Iblis Stone. I don't remember if they give me the option for the Iblis Stone from there.
Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I've never tried to go back for the Iblis Stone late. We always kind of do that first when I do it. And it wasn't available at all in the beginning, remember? When we first started making choices, it was just between Sky Ripper and Lapino. Let me try that. Let me do Lapino. Well, no, because we don't learn he's a traitor right away from going to rescue him, though. Let me go cleanse the Iblis Stone, because that we know we can do.
Every
we do have the ability
about the Sky Ripper. But ancient codices held hints of other things.
To see the paths that we haven't taken, so we'll be able to at least make educated choices from there.
A jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? long hidden in a buried temple. Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now. Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals.
This is one thing where I was talking about earlier where I'm saying, like, I wish there was alternative dialogues. This is a good example of that, right? When you're like, especially, you know, Schneider, you said that you went through and did every story. Surely you reached a point where you were just systematically going through the same tree and choosing every option within the tree as it branched through the narrative. And man, some of that must have gotten really repetitive.
Cawing in frustration.
Think getting Stone and Core first will help with the Zenobia ending. All right, cool. That's kind of my thought too.
And he hadn't come too late.
So another level up. I mean, I think it just goes into Ultimate Sword Fu again to even lower that further, right? That Ultimate Sword Fu has proved to be very, very effective. So it did get rough, trust me. Yeah, I've only tasted a little of it, and I can totally see it. Oh, I dodged. What are you talking about? I parried that. You know, way back in the like PS2 and original Xbox rivalry, PlayStation exclusively had SSX, Snowboard Supercross, for those of you guys who remember that game. And Microsoft came out with their own aggressive, like, freestyle snowboarding game called Amped. And the big difference was SSX was all like super crazy, over the top, like, whoa, bananas kind of moves. And Amped was like, hey, if you're going to do a backflip, do one really good backflip, really slow and stylish. And the reason for this extreme diatribe is that's kind of how I feel about the action combat here in Stories, right? Like, it's very similar to Batman and Assassin's Creed and any number of other like one versus many combat scenarios, but you do it at so much of a more relaxed, kind of like even pace. I really dig it. Maybe half have different dialogue, you memorize some parts.
It was time.
I feel that.
For a little exploration.
Oh man, what do we got? Energy on kill level 2. That I could potentially see throwing on in place of our resistance to physical damage at some point here.
There had to be some way to use the Iblis Stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. And Reynardo was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people.
I don't understand how he assumes that people are cleverer just because it's like time has passed. Does he mean more knowledgeable? Because that does not equate automatically to clever. I can 100% attest
actually,
that there were plenty of people in bygone eras that are much more clever than I. Shieldbreaker level 3. Wait a minute, did we just jump from 2 to 3 on Shieldbreaker? I don't remember getting Shieldbreaker level 2. And what could it possibly do different? For enemies that don't have a shield, it gives them a shield and then knocks it out of their hands. It just sent it spiraling into the ether. So maybe when we hit someone's shield, it can actually hit another enemy. That'd be kind of cool. Uh-oh, now you're all dead. You fools. You've upset a true Sword Fu master. The snow came back, Neo. No! How much snow did you get?
Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
We had a little snow today. Nothing outrageous. It snowed a little bit early and then it started to snow again later. But we didn't get crazy accumulation. Hey, Vivi. How are you, buddy?
There was an engraving. Maximum capacity, 130 people.
How the hell you fit 130 people on this? They got some lax-ass safety laws in Boreas. The game has a much flatter energy level. I mean, yes, I would agree with you. I don't think that it gets super hype. But I think that might be kind of by design. I think it's intended to be very, very chill. Enough that my dog got absolutely covered in it and left a watery ice trail through the house. Oh no. Does your dog like snow at least? Did your dog have a good time partying in the snow?
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light.
Because that's the big question,
like
right? As long as your doggo enjoyed it, it's okay.
Nervous.
You clean up that icy water
it
trail. It's a little bit of effort, but doggo's happy.
It was the stone. Eager. Thirsty.
It's pretty much his catnip. Yo, that's awesome.
That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Skyripper instead?
That sounds like a good idea.
It was the eye of a lost god, torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. Not the core, said the stone anxiously. Feed me death, and I will give you the power to do what you want. But even though Reynardo knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
What is said clever plan? He had thought of a clever way to have its power without its evil, but Reynardo's clever plans did have a tendency to backfire. All right, well,
The
Chris
stone
has a clever
bothered
plan
him.
to deal with it because we've already done it once, so we know it works.
The
So,
moment he
sorry,
landed the
Reynardo, but we're going to
Farfarer,
go with my plan.
Reynardo had a rare feeling of regret.
Chapter 2,
It's not too
Regrets.
late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure,
I mean,
technically she
no.
was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Food School together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. That she was the Emperor's daughter. No. Kill Zenobia, whispered the stone. Before it's too late.
I think this game also could have potentially benefited from like boss style fights, like maybe at the conclusion of each chapter, or not chapter, the conclusion of each playthrough there's a boss, and it's different depending on how you do it, right? Like it could be Zenobia, it could be the Emperor himself, it could be Lupino. If you've got the Iblis Stone, it could be someone else from the Resistance trying to stop you because you're becoming more of a monster than what they're trying to
like the earth had
abolish.
ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very
I think that
long
would have
time.
been cool. That would have given us a chance for things like, you know, Reynardo's Sword Fu Master from the Academy could show up and be the one to oppose him if he's turned evil, or actually like have you fight Zenobia and have to deal with the weight of putting her down, right? Deal with Lupino's treachery yourself. I think that would have been rad. Oh, I thought there would be that. Yeah, it feels like a definite miss. It feels like something that maybe even was originally planned that they just kind of forgot about. Not forgot about. That's not fair. I'm sure they didn't forget it.
Are you afraid of it? No, don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it's unstable. It will poison you so much as carry it, and if you try to use it, it will explode.
I love the desperate Iblis Stone trying to be like, no,
trust
dog, no,
rocks that
not the
talked in his
core.
head.
Listen,
He went
not
onwards.
the core. Oh, get ultimate sword food on. Satisfying.
As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical. No, it's too much power. We'll ripple. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power
so now
of
we're
his
back to where
mind.
we have been previous.
He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also
So
an
we're not going to do
observatory.
that one. We are going to go and
A
take our
wise
fight to the
man would
Nexus.
probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he?
Take the battle to the enemy. Reynardo was able to silence the Iblis Stone using the Sky Ripper core, yet the power it gave him was intact. What was it about not looking a gift horse in the mouth? Maybe it was time to use his power to turn the tides. Destroying the enemy outpost on the Nexus would be a great first step.
As the Farfarer sailed towards the Nexus, Reynardo wondered if the core had been created to silence the stone, or even to feed its hunger. Honestly, he didn't care. He felt terrific, and he appreciated the quiet inside his head.
I kind of imagine.